Hello. We had a gathering last night here in Ojai where I don't know if any of you streamed that, but we had a presentation of Gay's uh, one act play called Phobia Clinic, which we have some friends of ours enacted that for us. And then we had our local singers, River and Rose, who have the most gorgeous harmonies. And then Kirsten Vanjnes, who is a recent friend of ours, about who has a role in Criminal Minds. That's how we found her. She has a one act play called Outdated that she presented that was just sensational. This was the first time I'd been around that many people, actually in 6 years since the pandemic. And it was like, oh, right. This is a thing that we used to do rather than, having one or two people out in the backyard. So it was very, so what it was reminding me of also is that in the midst, particularly of the particular chaos that's going on right now for us in the States, I am wanting to focus on how making friends with fear opens up what we actually hold in fear, and then we skip over the energy that's trapped in it and are not able to use it. And so I wanted to just review that because it's in progress. So I want you to, when you think of it, to try out some of these changes and see if they resonate for you. So for example, let yourself get into fight. There's just a whole lot of fight right now. And we think that, and I think in the collective, there's this sense of fighting. If I'm fighting, I'm doing something. But truly, when you're fighting, you're perpetuating fear because fight itself is a fear response. And so all of these years when we've been told to fight back, that strategy, in my opinion, just keeps everything going. So go ahead and get your particular fight. Like I can get my jaw out there, and I can, get very judgy with people and go, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," or I can get very sort of superior and huffy, but it's still a fight. So let yourself notice where your body gets activated when you're doing fight, because it comes from fear, but we can mistake it for all of these because other things get glued to it. So when you're doing oozing, which is so let some oozing move through. And what I find, so one of the things that happens in fear is that we contract. And my sense is that we've been contracting and contracting so that most people are moving around in far less space than you actually are intended to take up. So when I do oozing, what I'm feeling is that's opening up the space for my full energy to move through, because in fight, we stop it. So it's like a kind of thing where we're confronting, but there's not really a flow of energy. So what I wanted you to try on is let the oozing take you into more space for you, and especially forward space. So in fight, I think we take our personas forward, but we don't take our strength forward. So for those of you who are playing with even standing, your power comes from your pelvis. Your physical power comes from your pelvis. And most of us are keeping our power up here where we're kind of flailing around because there's no strength really underlying it. So if you have your pelvis under you, I'm going to just move back here a little bit so I can, if you have your pelvis under you and like you have one foot forward, 1 foot back, your pelvis, so if you're doing your oozing, let that come into your pelvis so that you're really taking up space. That's the big thing that I'd like you to play with, because from taking up all of this space, what you can activate is forging, challenging, but basically taking up your full space. And that kind of powerful presence My sense is an antidote to na 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 na. So let yourself just notice how you can fully stand in your presence, and then when you can also challenge. So all of those verbs have to do with you owning your space. So that's what becomes possible from oozing, because we think of oozing as softening and, I'm going to get all mushy. But I find that oozing allows me to let my energy flow so that I can say things like, stop it. And no, I don't want to. And so that's oozing. So most of us now flee up. We either flee up, into our heads, or we flee forward into our devices. Oh my God! Oh my God! Or clicking, and so notice what. Let yourself flee for a moment. So I can. My favorite flee move is to. I get just kind of spacey, and I get ungrounded, and I'm at the influence of whatever is coming to me. So the fear melter is rooting, but I'd like you to let yourself notice that you can root through your hands as well as through your feet, and that you can have energy come in and up and through you that then can circulate to allow you to be here. But also with for me, when I'm playing with rooting, what I would like you to take that into is rooting, and then letting the energy of the earth come up so that you take it into bouncing. And you could do heel bouncing, or big bouncing, or letting your upper body bounce. But when you're letting the energy of the earth come through you, you have this kind of readiness that you can respond more easily, rather than, I'm just out of here, I'm just going to pretend nothing is happening, I'm just going to go, I'm going to go read a book, or I'm going to, for me, I'm going to go pet my cat, which I don't consider fleeing. I consider connecting with somebody who I know loves me and I love her. But fleeing, I think the fight and the flee keep us from actually engaging and being able to connect. So bouncing and readiness, I find to be the gift of the fear melter of rooting. And you can also let it be, it can be very subtle. So all of these don't have to be, they don't have to be big moves. So freeze, I think most people are either in a freeze or a faint right now, because acting feels dangerous. So the freeze is intended to make you invisible so that the predator doesn't notice you. So let yourself play with your particular current kind of freeze. So it can be your eyes go wide. It can be a holding on the in-breath. And again, I think that people don't realize how often this is going on, because we've been in this soup for about 10 years, here in the States. And of course, it's affecting everything globally as well. So what I have learned to do is to go from through the wiggle. The wiggle, I think, is probably the simplest and the most mammalian move that we have. So because you'll notice that all animals will shake it off, if there's something that unexpected that happens. And so let yourself find your most pleasurable wiggling. So wiggling is something that you could do throughout the day, because fear, we're so pickled in fear right now. So when in doubt, so for me, wiggling is my quickest fear melter to access. And from wiggling, I find I'm going from freeze into space. I feel more of an in-breath. So notice if in your wiggling, sort of underneath and around, are you experiencing more space in you? And I find that when I start wiggling, I can feel and see the spaces between things rather than being uh, frozen and then I flee, or frozen and then I fight. When I wiggle, I can open up to making a new choice. So for me, the opening up to space really allows me to make a new choice in a way that I can still be present. So wiggling allows me to go into, what's my next new choice? And then faint. So I think you're familiar. If you just kind of just tune into what's been going on, there's this kind of. So of course the love scoops are very, very helpful. And when also drops of love. And one thing I was remembering the other day, which is also, I think, a fear melter, is kissing your hand and your wrist until you feel that sense of loving yourself. So there's this kind of tenderness that I feel when I'm doing that. And what the fear melter for faint allows us to do is to engage. So rather than just feeling, I think faint leads to victim. And when I'm doing my love scoops and my then I can engage. And it's that reaching out and connecting, the reaching out into the space around me and claiming it. That reaching out puts me in the game rather than at the effect of. So let yourself just practice reaching out, reaching forward, reaching and bringing something in. So rather than, the love scoops where we're being, it's like, I want that. And hey, I see you. The sense of I'm engaging, I'm on the field. I'm not just being done to. So I want to invite you this week to let yourself play with what the fear melters open up for you. So what's the energy that then becomes available to me that I can be active, I can be engaged, I can be creating a connection with someone, appreciating, so I can make moves that allow me to be a source of presence and connect and play in the world, even in the midst of all of this. And so I would want to show you, I'm going to take a drink of water. I want to show you our card for today, our integrity card for today. And so as you're looking at this, I'd like you to look at it and then notice any part of you that you feel active, and let yourself do fear melters. So like I felt myself going way into the space between the stars or those lights, on the collage, and then coming back. And I could feel that in the back of my neck. And I'm doing love scoops into the back of my neck. And then I'm looking again, I'm letting my attention go in and then noticing how that affects me, and letting myself do fear melters with any place in my body that I notice gets activated by looking at the card. So as I'm looking also at the lotus, the flower at the bottom, I could feel my feet can open just like those petals open, and I can wiggle and root as I'm opening up to all of this open space. So as you're doing that, let me just read to you. This is the wonder card. This is from our wonder section, and it says, which is a sound I invite you to make liberally when you're feeling stuck. I wonder how I can grow a nervous system that can handle expanding amounts of positive energy for longer and longer periods of time. So say that once more. I wonder how I can grow a nervous system that can handle expanding amounts of positive energy for longer and longer periods of time. So this is really about what we consider the one problem, is having a nervous system that can actually handle energy and increased energy, in energy of all kinds. And so I want to invite you to let yourself grow a nervous system that can handle the expanding amounts of positive energy in a friendly way. Because we go, okay, I'm going to learn how to do 50 push-ups by next week, or I'm going to clean up my closet, or I'm going to handle that communication, and I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to do that. And so we start getting involved in the drama of how we keep ourselves from expanding. So what I want to invite you to do is, when you're feeling any kind of an upper limit, to let yourself just do some light fear melters and then access the energy that arises from liberating what's been caught in fear. And to me, that's our evolutionary task, is to allow more and more energy to circulate, because energy is really unlimited. And how we limit it in our bodies is one of the things that causes drama. So let's come on back to the big group. Love seeing all of you here. Yeah. So the other thing, just in general, that I want to invite you to do, we call it pattern interrupt, is when you find yourself in a familiar, you could be in a familiar gesture or a familiar way that you use your hands, that you just interrupt that in some way. So fear melters are a great way to interrupt it, but you could make it bigger, you could make it smaller, you could take something into the rest of your body. So move. What I see when I look around is either faint or frozen. And so the more that we can bring movement into our interactions with ourselves, you just notice as you're all moving, like I can feel enlivened, like all of the little cells in me are moving around more because I can see that happening. And that is really the basis of circulating our attention with each other. So to add to that, presence today, our Presence Connect play is presence for today is give yourself a drop of love. So that's real. That's one of my favorites. So I can actually fill the dropper, and you can I'd like some soft love today, and I'm going to put it right behind my ear, which is kind of my spot where I get when I get tense. That's where it happens. And then I'm letting myself receive that drop of love. And then I'd like a little bit more. So I'm going to get another dropper of love, and I can put it on my jaw, which is where I can get so I have a judgy jaw, and my jaw kind of gets, I get very kind of righteous in my jaw. So I'm going to give a little drop of love to my jaw. Now you can also telepathically deliver drops of love to others. So let yourself think of somebody in your life that you don't even know that you would like to deliver a drop of love to, and just go ahead and do that with your loop of awareness. I'm thinking of a friend of mine delivering a drop of love. And then just notice. So for me, when I do that, I feel a kind of calming, an exhale. So connect says yes and appreciate. And I love this one because what I notice this especially, like on talk shows that have women on them, what I notice is that people, when a question is asked or there's a panel going, someone says something and a woman will respond to that by saying, that point reminded me of, and they'll add to it. Like, I want to add to what Melinda said here. And what I've, so there's this yes and an including and then an appreciation. So instead of a rebuttal, so almost always, if there's a connection, it's going to go, no, it's the na na na. So, no, that's not right. This is right. And then you get into this na na na. But when you go, oh, yeah, I can hear that that was challenging. And I appreciate that you brought that to my attention because that wasn't something I was aware of. So you're acknowledging there's a receiving of what's coming and then adding to that. And when I even hear that, I feel, oh, right, that's a possibility, is that we can say yes and add an appreciation. Even it's like, I don't agree with you about, but what do I appreciate? That I can generate appreciation, and then appreciation allows the connection and the nourishment of connection, which is really what we're all about. Even when we're fussy or nagging or irritable, or outraged, the nourishment of genuine connection comes so clearly through appreciation. And so I can generate, and it doesn't even have to be an appreciation for you. It's an appreciation for, oh my God, I'm alive on another day in this amazing world. And that appreciation has wonderful, miraculous kind of connecting qualities. So I want to invite you into that. Oh, and then play is get way faster and then way slower. So right now we're in this adrenaline loop that is really, really, really fast, and there's all things coming in. So what we often do is go, oh, I can't participate in that. I'm going to try to put the brakes on, but then I'm not in the flow. So getting faster and getting slower. So just do that with your hands for a minute. You don't have to do it with your whole body. So letting your hands get faster and moving faster and faster, and then letting them get slower. You can be in a conversation and notice, oh, I'm getting really fast. And then you can slow down your speech, or you could speed up your speech. So it's another way of letting yourself activate all of these choices that you have, rather than being in the escalating, because usually it's faster and faster and faster, and then there's a crash. So there can be faster and faster, and then slower and slower, and then faster and faster. So all of these things really are about bringing presence into your body, and then bringing presence into your relationships with others, with the facility of your giving attention out and giving attention in. So every week we just play with different combinations of the same thing, but the real focus that I think is going to have juiciness for us is doing the fear melters as a pattern interrupt, and then opening up to what new energy gets activated, especially challenge, standing face to face with something that's scary, and letting yourself fill yourself with presence, and then getting the energy from, life can come through you, and the love of other people can come through you and be shared with others. So challenging times, and I'm really celebrating that I'm here now and can respond to what's going on, and joining with others to respond in a way that is going to make a difference. So thank you so much for being here, and please stay and continue to appreciate and connect, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Mwah! Take care.